Your mind is a battlefield, and you're losing. Not to external enemies, not to circumstances beyond your control, but to the chaos inside your own skull. The thoughts that spiral without permission, the worries that replay on infinite loop, the distractions that pull you in 1,000 directions until you can't remember what you were trying to do in the first place. And the cruelest part? You've been told this is normal. That fragmentation is just how modern life works. That focus is a luxury for people who don't have your responsibilities, your pressures, your particular brand of mental noise. The Stoics would call this exactly what it is: slavery. Not the slavery of chains and masters, but something more insidious. The slavery of a mind that cannot direct itself, cannot hold a single thought without being hijacked by the next shiny distraction or darker worry. You think you're free because you can choose what to watch, what to buy, where to go. But if you cannot choose what to think, if you cannot maintain focus on what matters for more than a few minutes before your attention scatters like startled birds, then what freedom do you actually possess? Epictetus was born a slave. His body belonged to another man. He could be beaten, sold, discarded. Yet he became one of philosophy's great teachers of freedom. How? Because he understood that the only freedom that matters is internal. A slave with a disciplined mind is freer than an emperor whose thoughts control him. The chains on your wrists can be removed by someone else. The chains on your attention, on your focus, on your ability to direct your consciousness toward what matters, these chains only you can break. And most people never even try. We live in what the ancients would have considered a kind of cognitive hell. Every device engineered to fragment your attention. Every platform designed to keep you scrolling, clicking, consuming. Every notification a small theft of your consciousness. And we accept this. We carry these machines everywhere. Let them interrupt our conversations, our work, our sleep. We've normalized the fragmentation of human attention to the point where sustained focus feels abnormal, feels almost impossible. But here's what the distraction economy doesn't want you to know. Your inability to focus is not a personal failing. It's not a character flaw or a disorder that requires medication. It's the predictable result of living in an environment designed to scatter your attention. You're not broken. Your environment is weaponized against your capacity for sustained thought. The Stoics faced none of these external assaults on their attention, yet they still had to fight for focus. Why? Because the human mind, by its nature, tends toward drift, toward distraction, toward the easy over the essential. Marcus Aurelius, with all the power of Rome at his command, still struggled with what he called the tyranny of the urgent. He wrote reminders to himself: concentrate like a Roman, like a man. Give full attention to what you're doing. Stop letting your mind wander into what doesn't concern you. These weren't the words of someone who had mastered focus effortlessly. These were the words of someone fighting the same battle you're fighting, just without smartphones and social media making it exponentially harder. The untrained mind is like a wild horse, powerful but undirected, capable of great things but running in circles, exhausting itself without progress. The Stoics knew that raw mental energy means nothing without the ability to direct it. You can be intelligent, creative, full of potential, and still accomplish nothing if you cannot focus that energy on a single point long enough to penetrate the surface of things. Genius without focus is just noise. Effort without direction is just exhaustion. Think about your last attempt at deep work, at sustained focus on something difficult and meaningful. How long did you last before your mind wandered? Before you checked your phone, your email, your messages? Before you found some reason to interrupt yourself? 5 minutes? 10? Most people can't maintain genuine focus for even that long anymore. We've trained ourselves into a state of perpetual distraction, and then we wonder why nothing we do feels meaningful. why we're always busy but never fulfilled. The Stoic blueprint for focus is not about productivity hacks or time management tricks. It's about something more fundamental, reclaiming sovereignty over your own consciousness. It's about building the internal architecture that allows you to direct your attention where you choose, hold it there despite discomfort, and protect it from the thousand things competing for it. This is not about becoming a monk or disconnecting from reality. This is about engaging with reality more fully, more intentionally, with the kind of focused presence that most people have forgotten is even possible. The Stoics had a concept they called prosoche, which translates roughly to attention or mindfulness, but it's deeper than either word suggests. It's the practice of maintaining constant vigilance over your own mind, of catching yourself when attention wanders, of bringing yourself back to the present moment and the task at hand. Not once or twice a day during meditation, but continuously, in every moment, through every activity. This was the core practice that separated the Stoic sage from the ordinary person stumbling through life on autopilot. Seneca wrote about this with brutal honesty. He admitted that he was ashamed of how much time he wasted, how often his mind would drift into useless speculation about things he couldn't control, how easily he was pulled away from what mattered. And this was Seneca, one of Rome's great minds, a man who had achieved what most would consider extraordinary success. Yet he still had to fight for his focus every single day. The difference wasn't that he had it easier. The difference was that he fought. Your inner noise has patterns. If you pay attention, you'll notice the same worries circling back, the same anxieties replaying, the same distractions pulling you away from difficult work. This is not random. Your mind has learned these escape routes, these ways of avoiding discomfort. When you sit down to do something challenging, something that requires sustained effort, your mind will immediately offer you alternatives. Maybe you should check that thing first. Maybe you should plan a bit more before starting. Maybe you should see what's happening online. These aren't innocent suggestions. These are your mind's trained responses to discomfort, its automatic escape mechanisms. The Stoics understood that the mind, left to itself, seeks comfort. It seeks easy stimulation over difficult engagement. It seeks the familiar over the uncertain. It seeks the path of least resistance. This is not a bug. This is a feature, an evolutionary adaptation that kept us alive when the world was physically dangerous. But in the modern world, where the dangers are not physical but psychological, this same tendency becomes a trap. Your mind's instinct to avoid discomfort now keeps you from everything meaningful, because everything meaningful requires sustained discomfort. Focus is not about eliminating all distractions. That's impossible. Even Marcus, in the relative simplicity of ancient Rome, couldn't eliminate distractions. Focus is about training your attention to return, to notice when it wanders and bring it back without judgment, without frustration, just with patient persistence. Like training a puppy, you don't punish it for wandering. You simply guide it back, again and again, until the new pattern becomes automatic. But here's where most people get this wrong. They think focus is about force, about grinding through distraction with pure willpower. They sit down determined to focus, and the moment their mind wanders, they get angry at themselves. They feel like failures. They give up. This is not the Stoic way. The Stoic doesn't fight the mind with force. The Stoic observes the mind with clarity. There's a difference. When Epictetus taught his students, he would tell them to imagine their thoughts as visitors at a banquet. You are the host. Some visitors are welcome, some are not. But you don't need to fight with the unwelcome guests or throw them out violently. You simply don't give them your attention. You turn toward the guests you invited, the thoughts that serve you, and let the others fade into the background. This is the art of selective attention. Not elimination, but direction. Your inability to focus is often not about focus at all. It's about avoidance. You're not distracted from the work. You're avoiding the work by choosing distraction. There's a subtle but crucial difference. When you understand this, you stop blaming your environment or your willpower and start asking the real question. What am I avoiding? What discomfort am I unwilling to face? Usually, it's one of three things: the uncertainty of not knowing if you'll succeed, the difficulty of thinking through something complex, or the vulnerability of creating something that might be judged. The Stoics would sit with this discomfort. They would name it. Marcus would write, "I'm avoiding this meeting because I fear conflict. I'm procrastinating on this decision because I fear being wrong." Once you name the avoidance, once you see it clearly, it loses much of its power. The unnamed anxiety is tyrannical. The named anxiety is just a feeling, something you can observe without obeying. Modern neuroscience confirms what the Stoics knew intuitively. Your brain craves completion. When you start something and don't finish it, when you jump between tasks without completing any of them, you create what psychologists call open loops. Each open loop drains cognitive resources. Your brain keeps part of its processing power dedicated to these incomplete tasks, which means you never have full access to your mental capacity. You're always running in the background, always partially engaged with a dozen things, fully present to none. The Stoic completes what they start, not because they're naturally more disciplined, but because they understand the cost of fragmentation. Every time you abandon a task halfway through to check something else, you're not just interrupting that task. You're training your brain that abandonment is acceptable, that following every impulse is normal. You're building the neural pathways of distraction, making it easier to lose focus next time, and the time after that, until fragmented attention becomes your default state. So what does the Stoic blueprint for unshakable focus actually look like in practice? How do you move from knowing these principles to living them? The gap between understanding and implementation is where most people remain stuck forever, reading about focus while remaining perpetually distracted. The Stoics were not interested in theory divorced from practice. Every principle had to translate into action, into daily habits that restructured the mind. First, you must create what the Stoics called a sanctuary of attention. This is not a physical place, though physical space matters. This is a psychological space, a clearly defined period where your attention belongs entirely to one thing. Not two things. Not one thing while monitoring three others. One thing. You decide in advance what deserves your undivided focus, and for that period, everything else ceases to exist. Marcus would do this with his administrative duties. He would set aside specific hours for reviewing reports, hearing petitions, making decisions. During those hours, nothing else existed. Not his philosophical writing, not his personal concerns, not the 100 other demands on his time. This wasn't about being rigid. This was about being present. When he was administering the empire, he was fully there. When he was writing his meditations, he was fully there. He didn't try to do both simultaneously and end up doing neither well. You need to externalize your internal boundaries. Your mind will not respect boundaries it cannot see. If you tell yourself, "I'll focus for a while," that's too vague. Your mind will exploit that vagueness constantly. Instead, "I will work on this specific task from this time to this time." No vagueness, no room for negotiation with yourself. The boundary is clear, and therefore defensible. When distraction comes, and it always comes, you have something concrete to return to. Second, you must train the muscle of return. This is the practice the Stoics called prosoche, the constant bringing back of wandering attention. You sit to focus. Your mind wanders within 30 seconds. This is not failure. This is normal. The practice is not in preventing the wandering. The practice is in noticing it and returning. Notice, return, 1,000 times if necessary. Each return strengthens the neural pathway. Each return is a small victory over the tyranny of distraction. Most people think they're bad at focus because their mind wanders. But everyone's mind wanders. The person with unshakable focus is simply better at noticing the wandering and returning. That's the only difference. They've practiced the return 10,000 times, so it happens faster, more smoothly, with less disruption. You can build this same capacity. It just requires practice, the kind of patient, repetitive practice that our culture has trained us to avoid. Third, you must protect your attention like a limited resource, because it is. The Stoics understood scarcity. They knew that time was finite, that energy was finite, that attention was perhaps the most finite resource of all. Seneca wrote, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." The same applies to attention. You don't have an attention problem. You have a protection problem. You're letting things steal your attention that don't deserve it. Every notification you allow is a decision to let someone else set your priorities. Every interruption you permit is a declaration that other people's urgency is more important than your purpose. The Stoic says, "My attention is mine to direct. I choose what receives it. I choose when to give it. Everything else must wait, or go without." This sounds harsh until you realize that the alternative is allowing your entire life to be directed by whoever wants your attention most aggressively. You need to build what might be called attention fortifications. Remove the easy access points that distraction uses to invade. Turn off notifications. Not some of them, all of them. Let me be clear. Nothing important has ever happened that required you to know about it within 30 seconds. The illusion of urgency is a weapon used against your focus. Disable it. Put your phone in another room when you work. Make distraction difficult enough that you have time to catch yourself before you indulge it. Fourth, embrace what the Stoics called voluntary discomfort. Your mind seeks ease. To build focus, you must regularly choose difficulty. Sit with boredom without reaching for stimulation. Work on something challenging without switching to something easier. Feel the discomfort of sustained attention without escaping into distraction. This is how you build the capacity for focus. Not by making everything easier, but by increasing your tolerance for the difficulty that meaningful work requires. The modern world trains you toward constant stimulation, toward never being bored, toward always having something to consume. This training makes sustained focus nearly impossible, because sustained focus often feels boring. The first hour of deep work on a complex problem doesn't feel exciting. It feels uncomfortable. Your mind wants to escape. The person who can sit with that discomfort while the distracted person flees to entertainment, that's the person who develops real capability. Fifth, practice single tasking as a spiritual discipline. Not because it's more efficient, though it is, but because it's a form of respect. Respect for the work, respect for yourself, respect for the reality that you can only fully inhabit one moment at a time. When you eat, eat. When you work, work. When you talk to someone, be there completely. The Stoics saw this not as a productivity technique, but as a way of living with integrity, of aligning your attention with your values. The transformation that comes from reclaiming your focus is not incremental. It's fundamental. When you move from fragmented to focused attention, you don't just accomplish more. You become more. Your sense of self strengthens. Your capacity for deep thought expands. Your ability to engage with complexity without being overwhelmed increases. You stop feeling like a passive victim of circumstances and start experiencing yourself as an active agent capable of sustained engagement with reality. Marcus wrote about this transformation in his private journals. He described the difference between the scattered mind that jumps from worry to worry, never settling on anything long enough to resolve it, and the focused mind that can hold a problem, examine it from every angle, and arrive at wisdom. The scattered mind accumulates anxiety. The focused mind processes it. The scattered mind feels overwhelmed by life's complexity. The focused mind engages with that complexity systematically, piece by piece, without panic. But let's be honest about the cost. Building unshakable focus in a world designed to fragment it requires sacrifice. You will miss things. You will not know about the latest controversy, the trending topic, the breaking news. You will be less available, less responsive, less plugged into the constant stream of information and social interaction. This will make some people uncomfortable. They will call you unavailable, disconnected, even selfish. And you will have to be okay with that. The Stoic accepts this cost willingly because they understand what they're trading for. They're trading the illusion of being connected to everything for the reality of being present to something. They're trading the shallow engagement with 100 things for deep engagement with a few things that matter. They're trading the anxiety of constant monitoring for the peace of sustained attention. Not everyone will understand this trade. Most people won't. That's fine. You're not building focus for their approval. You're building it for your own sovereignty. Here's what changes when you master your inner noise. When you sit down to work, you work. No negotiation, no internal debate about whether you feel like it, no endless preparation rituals designed to delay actual engagement. You simply begin, and you continue, and the quality of what you produce reflects this focused presence. When you're with someone, you're actually with them. Not physically present while mentally elsewhere. Not nodding while thinking about your phone. Present. This depth of presence becomes your default mode rather than a rare exception. Your relationship with difficulty transforms. Things that would have overwhelmed your scattered attention become manageable when you can focus. Complex problems that seemed impossible when you could only think about them in fragmented moments become solvable when you can dedicate sustained attention. You stop avoiding hard things because you've built the capacity to engage with them. This changes everything. Your career, your relationships, your ability to learn and grow. All of these depend on your capacity to engage with difficulty without fleeing to distraction. The Stoics believed that attention was the fundamental human faculty, more fundamental than intelligence or talent or creativity. Because without the ability to direct your attention, none of those other qualities matter. The brilliant person who cannot focus accomplishes less than the average person who can. The talented person whose attention scatters wastes their gift. The creative person who never completes anything because they're always chasing the next idea creates nothing of lasting value. You might be thinking, this all sounds good, but I don't have time to build these practices. I'm already overwhelmed. This is the voice of your fragmented attention defending itself. The truth is exactly the opposite. You don't have time not to build these practices. Every day you continue with scattered attention is a day where you're working at a fraction of your capacity. Every hour you spend distracted is an hour you cannot reclaim. The time investment in building focus returns itself multiplied many times over. Start simple. Tomorrow, choose 1 hour. Just 1 hour where you will defend your attention absolutely. Turn everything off. Close everything unrelated to your chosen focus. Sit with the discomfort when your mind wants to escape. Notice when it wanders. Bring it back. Do this tomorrow, and the next day, and the day after. Don't try to transform your entire life overnight. Just protect 1 hour. Master 1 hour. Then expand. The Stoic path is not about perfection. It's about practice. You will fail to maintain focus. You will catch yourself mindlessly scrolling when you meant to be working. You will break your own boundaries. This is guaranteed. The question is not whether you'll fail. The question is whether you'll continue practicing after you fail. The person who practices return 1,000 times is not the person who never loses focus. They're the person who never stops returning. Marcus spent decades practicing this. Decades. And even late in his life, he was still writing reminders to himself about maintaining focus, about not letting his attention scatter, about staying present to the moment. If an emperor and philosopher needed daily reminders after decades of practice, what makes you think you'll master this quickly? This is lifelong work, but it's the work that makes every other work possible. Your focus is your freedom. Your ability to direct your attention is your ability to direct your life. When you master your inner noise, when you can hold your attention steady despite the chaos around you and inside you, you become unconquerable. Not because circumstances can't affect you, but because they can't scatter you. You remain coherent, purposeful, present. This is the promise of the Stoic blueprint. Not ease, but mastery. Not comfort, but sovereignty. Not escape from difficulty, but the capacity to engage with it fully. If you're committed to building unshakable focus in a world designed to fragment it, subscribe to this channel. We explore these practices weekly, not as theory but as lived wisdom, as tools for maintaining sovereignty over your own consciousness. The battle for your attention is the battle for your life. Fight it deliberately, fight it daily, and slowly, through practice, you'll discover what the Stoics knew: that freedom begins where focus begins.